Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're taking 5 really fascinating stories from a recent Southern California newspaper roundup and weaving them into one incredibly powerful narrative. We're talking about how communities advocate for themselves, how they build real sustainable wealth, and how they boldly celebrate their heritage on the global stage. It's a pretty amazing cross-section of current events, and I promise you, seeing how all these pieces connect is going to give you a completely fresh perspective on community power. So let's get into it. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with legacy and voter engagement, then move into wildfire survivors demanding action, look at building wealth with solar, and finally wrap up with the global rise of Amvithka fashion. Starting off with Section 1, Legacy and Voter Engagement, Navigating California's Political Landscape. You know, to really understand community advocacy in Southern California, you absolutely have to look at the legacy of Congresswoman Maxine Waters. For decades, she has been on the front lines fighting for economic justice. I mean, she made history as the very first African-American woman to chair the incredibly powerful House Financial Services Committee. But her impact isn't just a fancy title, right? It's in the actual results. During the housing crisis, she secured a staggering $6 billion for the Neighborhood Stabilization Program. For the people she represents, her legacy is measured by a lifetime of just consistently showing up and demanding accountability for low-income families and working-class communities. But despite that rich legacy of civic engagement, the current data is showing a really stark contrast. As we gear up for the June 2 primary for the California governor's race, the numbers show a real struggle to energize voters. Early ballot returns are definitely lagging. Statewide turnout actually dropped from 8.38% at this point back in 2022 down to 7.9% in 2026. And crucially, Black voter turnout specifically saw a drop from 7.5% in the last cycle to just 6.1% this year. So the electorate is clearly out there looking for a spark. And that lack of early turnout, it makes the race incredibly tight. Remember, in California's top 2 primary system, only the top 2 vote-getters advance to the general election, regardless of their party. So literally every single vote counts. Early polling from Evidaris Research shows former policy advisor Steve Hilton leading at 22%, but Democrat Xavier Becerra is right on his heels at 21%, followed by Tom Stoyer at 15%. Right now, campaigns are absolutely scrambling to consolidate their voter bases. And with a full quarter of surveyed Black voters remaining undecided, these final weeks of the campaign are going to be absolutely critical. Moving on to Section 2, Wildfire Survivors Demand Action, the fight to rebuild Altadena and Pasadena. The sheer urgency of this crisis is captured so perfectly by Heavenly Hughes, the co-founder of the nonprofit My Tribe Rise. The devastating Eaton fire back in January of 2025 destroyed over 9,000 structures. 9,000. And now, 15 months later, families are literally still living in tents, cars, and Airbnbs. Only 6% of ruined properties have actually been rebuilt. What's really frustrating for these folks is that despite a $2.5 billion state relief package from the governor, $1.5 billion of that remains completely unspent. So survivors are traveling to the state capitol demanding accountability. They are fighting tooth and nail to keep historic Black and brown communities from just being priced out by luxury developers. But here's the thing. They aren't just protesting. They are actively legislating. The Dena Rise Up Coalition is pushing a highly structured 3-step legislative slate through the state capitol as we speak. Step 1 is AB 1642, which ensures safe environmental testing so families aren't accidentally rebuilding on toxic soil. Step 2, SB 1301, legally stops insurance companies from dropping the coverage of disaster survivors. And Step 3, SB 878, actually hits insurers with a 20% annual penalty if they unnecessarily delay paying out claims. This right here is a textbook example of a community turning a massive tragedy into organized systemic action. All right, let's look at Section 3, Building Wealth with Solar, Empowering Homeowners Through Renewable Energy. For Black owner homers, especially those whose families were historically impacted by discriminatory practices like redlining, installing solar panels is actually proving to be a surprisingly fast way to build real assets. Because, solar energy isn't just about saving the planet, though that's great too. It directly boosts the resale value of a property in 4 major ways. Homes with solar generally see a higher sale price, they sell faster, they command a much higher appraised value, and they simply have a distinct competitive advantage in the real estate market. You are literally turning your roof into a high-yield investment. And beyond just adding property value, solar energy acts like a massive shield for your monthly budget. It locks in predictable payments, which completely protects families against those sudden, painful utility rate hikes. When you combine those consistently lower bills with really lucrative federal tax credits, it rapidly reduces financial stress and allows families to actually grow their emergency savings. Over the 25-year lifespan of a standard solar system, those accumulated savings become the actual foundation for building true, transferable generational wealth. It's a real game changer. Which brings us to our final stop, Section 4, Global Rise of AMBCA Fashion, Culture and Couture in Lagos. There is some incredibly deep, spiritual symbolism woven right into the fabric of these garments. The international internet went absolutely wild over these looks, but a lot of people missed the cultural context. Take actress Bisola Ayola, for instance. She wore a stunning gown titled Mmiri Ndu, which translates to Water of Life in Igbo. It prominently features coral beads, which in many African cultures are a profound symbol of royalty and ancestral connection. Plus, water holds immense spiritual weight in Igbo cosmology. So this isn't just an extravagant red carpet dress. It is quite literally a prayer rendered in fabric. These looks brilliantly showcase the sheer audacity and incredible range of this red carpet, which, by the way, a lot of people are now calling the Africa Met Gala. You have these majestic, intricately beaded designs directly inspired by the royalty and rich heritage of Edo culture, right alongside mind-bending, completely transparent aquatic dresses that feature literal underwater seascapes built right into the skirt. The global reaction to this was incredible. People all across the US and Europe were just stunned, and fashion analysts were openly declaring that the AMBCA consistently out-delivers the actual Met Gala when it comes to pure creative ambition. We have to talk about one more because this is just spectacular. Imagine a shimmering, elegant ball gown worn beautifully by Osas Agudaro that is actually crafted from 400 metal kitchen sponges. Yes, metal sponges. Transforming everyday, unusual materials into high-end couture takes an unbelievable level of vision. Like Nigerian-born fashion designer Chioma Perpetua noted, 2026 really marks a turning point. African designers are no longer trying to catch up to global fashion standards. They are boldly, unapologetically creating their own lane, and the entire world is finally paying attention. And that brings us right back to the core of today's explainer. From fighting for economic justice at the ballot box, to demanding legislative action so we can rebuild after devastating wildfires, to smartly investing in renewable energy to build generational wealth, to proudly wearing your heritage on the global stage, it is all connected. It's all about owning your narrative. So looking at all these absolutely incredible examples, I want to leave you with this final vital question. What actions will you take today to shape your communities tomorrow?